On a quiet morning, Jennifer Gledhill told everyone the same story. She claimed that everything was normal and that someone she loved had simply disappeared. At first, nothing seemed unusual. There were no signs of forced entry, no eyewitnesses, no obvious evidence of violence. But experienced investigators noticed something strange. Tiny details in Jennifer's story didn't match the physical evidence. And as detectives dug deeper, they uncovered secrets that painted a completely different picture. What really happened behind those closed doors? And how did one hidden mistake change the entire investigation? This is the disturbing story of Jennifer Gledhill. From the outside, everything appeared ordinary. Friends and neighbors saw normal life, and few could imagine the investigation that was about to unfold. When concerns grew and authorities became involved, detectives began carefully reconstructing the timeline. They interviewed witnesses, reviewed available evidence, and compared every statement. At first, there were more questions than answers, but as the investigation progressed, small inconsistencies began to stand out. Those details would eventually become some of the most important clues in the case. As detectives continued investigating the disappearance, they refused to rely on assumptions. Every phone call, every timeline, and every witness statement was carefully reviewed. The first step was simple: verify Jennifer's account. Investigators compared her version of events with surveillance footage, digital records, and interviews. At first glance, nothing appeared unusual, but the deeper they looked, the more inconsistencies they found. Some statements didn't match the available evidence. Certain movements couldn't be independently confirmed, and parts of the timeline raised new questions. Detectives knew that even a small inconsistency can become a major breakthrough in a missing person investigation. The investigation soon expanded beyond the family home. Officers spoke with neighbors, collected available surveillance footage, and searched locations connected to the case. Forensic teams documented every detail that could help reconstruct what had happened. Meanwhile, digital evidence became increasingly important. Investigators analyzed phone activity, messages, and location data where legally available. Instead of focusing on a single clue, they built a timeline piece by piece, looking for anything that could be independently verified. As more evidence was gathered, detectives began testing every explanation against the facts. Rather than confirming the original story, several findings pointed them toward new possibilities. What had started as a missing person investigation was becoming far more complex. Then came a development that changed the direction of the case. Information uncovered during the investigation led authorities to look much more closely at the events surrounding the disappearance. From that moment on, the investigation entered a completely different phase, and the questions investigators were asking became far more serious. By this stage, investigators believed the original explanation no longer fit the evidence they had collected. Instead of looking for a missing person alone, they began treating the case as a possible homicide investigation. Detectives carefully compared witness interviews with the physical and digital evidence. Every new discovery was checked against the timeline. As the investigation continued, prosecutors later alleged that the victim had been killed, and that efforts were made to conceal the crime after the fact. Authorities publicly stated that the investigation uncovered evidence that supported criminal charges. Search warrants, forensic examinations, and interviews became central to building the case. While many questions remained unanswered, investigators said the evidence was strong enough to move the case into the criminal justice system. The arrest shocked many people who had followed the disappearance from the beginning. To neighbors, the case had once seemed like a mystery with few leads. Now it had become one of the most talked about investigations in the region. As legal proceedings began, prosecutors outlined their version of events in court. Jennifer Gledhill has been charged in connection with the case. Like all criminal defendants, she is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in court. Even today, the case continues to attract public attention because it serves as a reminder that investigators often solve cases by patiently connecting small pieces of evidence rather than relying on a single dramatic clue. Cases like this remind us that the truth is rarely uncovered overnight. Investigators didn't solve this mystery because of one dramatic breakthrough. They did it by carefully connecting facts, verifying evidence, and following the timeline wherever it led. Behind every true crime story are real people whose lives have been permanently changed. That's why it's important to separate rumors from verified information and allow the legal process to determine the final outcome. The Jennifer Gledhill case continues through the court system, where the evidence will ultimately be examined and tested. tested. As with any criminal case, the charges are allegations, and every defendant is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. Whether you're interested in criminal investigations, forensic science, or the psychology behind complex cases, this story is another example of how even the smallest detail can become the key to understanding what really happened. What do you think was the most important turning point in this investigation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy professionally researched true crime documentaries, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.